Let's go on to our next guest, and that's George. How you doing, George?
I've been better, guys.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I mean, sum that game up for me.
Lack of creativity, lack of player quality, lack of heart. Middlesbrough wanted it more than us, and we didn't have an answer to it. So, you know, we knew, the players knew what they were going to be up against, and I just saw a lack of spirit, really. I mean, they ran out of ideas, I think, pretty much towards the end of that first half. They didn't have anything to really show. There was a little bit of impetus when bringing on Bergwijn. We were a little bit unlucky here and there with some of the chances we created, but by and large, I mean, just devoid of any creativity. It was really, I mean, at some point I just had to turn away. It was really, really poor. I just feel sorry for the fans that went up there again to watch it, and they're going to come back now pretty much totally devastated. And that's it now, isn't it? It's another barren season, nothing to really look forward to, and let's see what happens. You know, I don't hold out now much hope that on the basis of that performance that we are going to make any sort of headway in trying to get up the league. So you can only really fear what's going to happen in the summer. We're not going to have the funds available to buy in, so we end up probably losing Conte at that point, and there we go again. It's like, you know, restart the whole project. But listen, you know, miracles happen, and let's just hope Conte manages to push the right buttons with the right players.
Yeah, and tonight was even more evidence, wasn't it, of the squad just lacking consistency to really get stable performances. What do you put that down to? Is it a case of we need rotation, lacking energy? Is it a case of just complete lack of quality to sustain any sort of performances? Does the manager have to come into criticism? Why do you think we just can't seem to get stable performances out of this team?
I think when you lose a game like that, you can't have you know everybody has to foot the blame. Partly, but I mean, I keep drumming on about this, and I end up feeling like a stuck record. We lack creativity. In my mind, we always needed a creative influence in the centre of the park. The centre of the park is paper thin for us. The double pivot that we operate, anytime Winks and Højbjerg, we're going to be at real risk when teams put us in a low block situation. And it was literally a repeat of the Burnley game for me this evening. We don't have an answer to it. We don't have anybody who can pick the lock. We've got this reliance on the wing backs to try and push forward and to try and create. The only real creativity that we have is when Harry Kane drops deep, and we play Sonny and Lucas off of it. Kulusevski tried today. You could see, I mean, you could just tell that the frustration was boiling over. I was expecting a sending off. Yeah. I mean, what Romero was thinking, clattering into when they had that melee, just comes out of nowhere and gets himself booked. I mean, it was all just boiling over, and it was just frustration. They had run out of ideas. We lack creativity, and until we get a player, or two or three players even, who are able to create from the back and through the centre of midfield, we're going to be in the same situation.
Yeah, and it's also like when you're getting into like the latter stages of the game, half an hour to go, 20 minutes to go, you look to the bench and there's just nothing there, is there, that you even trust to come on and change the game? Like, yeah, fine, there's Bergwijn, but apart from that, there's literally nothing there, is there, George?
No, I agree. And it was always going to be the case when we were getting rid of Lo Celso and Ndombele. Although I agree totally with just farming them out, because it had got to the point where it was it was ridiculous. I mean, when you've gotten Dombele on the pitch and he was struggling against who were we playing in the FA Cup game?
Morecambe.
Was it Morecambe? I mean, it was so painfully obvious that their heart was not in the club. I mean, look, that it's a really serious situation now, because if Harry Kane is going to want Champions League, let's face it. We're going to end up potentially, obviously, at this point, it looks as though we're not going to make that. So we've got to be looking at Harry Kane leaving. And will Conte really want to hang around without Harry Kane there? Is he really going to want to run the risk of the lack of investment and him not having the players to perform? So again, who is? I mean, I'm thinking at this point, really, who's going to end up being Tottenham Hotspur manager? And you, again, I mean, look, Brian's there and he's being quiet. I know exactly what's going through his head. I mean, we're going to be in exactly the same situation of what, why bring in a manager on an 18-month contract who tends to be short-term, in the circumstances that we had, when it's so obvious a long-term project. And if we're hearing the murmurings now of a manager who is not happy again, and his body language tonight, I mean, was very suspiciously. I remember watching him when we played Chelsea, and we ended up beating them 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. Mm-hmm. And looking at Conte then and thinking to myself, that's a manager who's just not going to be there. And his body language this evening throughout that whole game suspiciously looked like that to me. So I'm just trying to prepare myself for the worst now.
All right, George. Thanks for coming on tonight, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, George, I'll get in touch with you tomorrow.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.